Well, good Tuesday morning, friends. As I record this, it's actually Groundhog Day. And it puts me in mind of experience I had a while back. I was living other places, I had other jobs, and I was traveling on Groundhog Day, and I found myself in Pennsylvania. And while I wasn't in Punxsutawney, I will tell you that it is a major news event for the entire state. Every television station has a team on site waiting to let us know whether the groundhog's going to see his shadow. Now, for us in Las Vegas, the concept of 6 more weeks of winter, well, really isn't that big a deal. Yeah, we complain about the cold, but the cold here is nothing like the cold there. I saw that Mount Washington, which is not far from where I used to live, is minus 20 today. So 6 more weeks of winter in that is quite different than 6 more weeks of winter here. But I found this interesting. As I watched the coverage of Punxsutawney Phil, that great groundhog, I was reminded of one of my all-time favorite movies, coincidentally called Groundhog Day. Now, if you haven't seen it, it's the story of a self-centered and self-indulgent TV weatherman played masterfully by Bill Murray. He's assigned to cover the Groundhog Day festivities in Punxsutawney, much to his annoyance. You see, Bill fancies himself a celebrity, a privileged person who shouldn't have to be bothered with the things that normal people like us do. And so, against his better judgment, he travels to the festival, endures what he feels is a miserable day, and wakes the next morning to find that it's once again Groundhog Day. Now, this is of course bewildering, especially since no one else seems to notice that they're living the same day over again. And when it happens the next day, well, Bill gets increasingly desperate. Remember, this is not what he had in mind. He has plans for his life. He's somebody. He doesn't want to spend his life at this small town festival among people he feels are not his social equals. Why, he's too good for that. And then, of course, the next morning, it's Groundhog Day again. And as he passes through the same day over and over, he begins to think that, well, maybe this is a blessing rather than a curse. It dawns on him that now there are no consequences in life, as he can do anything he pleases and start fresh the next morning. Well, this leads him to a time of self-indulgence, of eating, of drinking, of theft, all in the name of pleasing himself. Nothing is too good for him, and no one needs to be treated as anything other than the dirt that he feels that they are. Life has truly become about him. What a wonderful time. Except, you know there was going to be a but, except that to his great surprise, he finds that the ability to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, doesn't satisfy him. This blessing, I guess, is really a curse after all. And so, unable to accept a life like this, he becomes self-destructive and attempts to take his life in a series of increasingly imaginative ways. Yet, each morning, he wakes in Punxsutawney, and it is once again Groundhog Day. As the days turn into weeks and then months, even years, he runs out of things to do. So, in a very uncharacteristic move, he chooses to embark upon a process of self-improvement. He learns to play the piano, reads poetry, learns to speak French, and without really being aware of it, his personality begins to soften. He listens to people and really hears what they have to say. He takes the time to get to know them, to discover their hopes and their dreams, and without even realizing it, he becomes a friend. As this continues, he finds himself actually caring for and then even helping other people. For the first time in his life, he's doing things without first calculating what's in it for him. But it doesn't stop there. He finds that helping others can make him feel good. He gets fulfillment from helping others, now not for the gratitude that they feel or the recognition that it brings him, but simply for the sheer joy of it. He's gone from being arrogant to humble, from self-aggrandizing to being self-deprecating. And it is only when he has made this enormous transformation that he wakes to find that it is now the day after Groundhog Day. Life starts again for him, but he has been fundamentally changed by the experience, and he's no longer the man that he was. Now, you could pass this off as a light comedy, but I have to tell you, I find that the movie touches me on a much deeper level. And as I've thought about it, I realize that I'm attracted to the redemptive quality the movie displays. Bill Murray is a completely flawed person with little or no qualities that anyone would want to emulate. Yet, through his experiences, he learns that life is to be lived not for oneself, but for others. I think, my friends, that that's what St. Paul is talking about to the church in Corinth when he says, love is patient, love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. Now, this passage is a favorite for weddings. It was read at my own. But I have to tell you, it's not about romantic love at all. It's really about love for one another. Paul is speaking to a church that's in conflict, where members are putting their own wants, their own desires above the needs of the body. Where people love themselves more than they love each other. Paul's message is also a guide for how they, and ultimately how we, are to live in relationship to other people. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. Amazing words to the church. Now, Bill Murray certainly learned that in Groundhog Day. At the start, Bill loves himself, and only himself, and he was quite secure in the knowledge that he was special, that he was entitled to have the world revolve around him, that he was better than other people. And it was only when he had learned to love others, not for what it would get him, but simply because others are worth loving, that he was then ready to move on to the next chapter of his life, having been fundamentally changed by the experience of love. May we too be changed by the experience of love, a love so deep and broad that it is beyond our wildest imagination, a love God has for us, and a love that we share with one another. Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters.